Well, hello everyone, welcome back to Speaking Spurs and me, Kieran, talking all things Tottenham. Today we're going to talk about the 2-0 victory over West Ham in the Premier League that sees us jump back into 4th place, albeit other teams have games in hand. But who cares, we're back on the right track. Christian Stellini has a perfect record still. Ryan Mason at the helm helping him as well. So yeah, that's what we're talking about today. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to support the video with a like, and as always, leave your comments below. Yeah, so fantastic victory against West Ham, a team that does quite well at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. They've got a very annoyingly good record since we've been there. We get the victory, an unlikely scorer in Emerson Royal, a player that has much changed over the last month. And as we said in the last video, plenty of fans sending their apologies. To think, you know, against Leeds, he was being jeered by the crowd. People were very happy when he was replaced on the pitch. A player that Spurs were quite happy to listen to offers for, but he stuck his ground and said, no, I'm not going anywhere. Decided he wanted to stay, was happy in London. His wife is also pregnant. You'd have seen the baby celebration, you know, the ball under the shirt, sucking the thumb, as they do. So that may be another reason why he decided he didn't want to leave, because of that. Happy in London, very much a popular member of the squad. Obviously, we don't get to see the ins and outs daily, but I can assure you he's very much loved in and around the Spurs squad, and you would have seen that with the celebration after his goal, which is the second goal that he's had this season. What was interesting about that goal is, how shall I put it? There is a phrase when defence turns to attack, but literally the defence turned into the attack, and by that I mean Ben Davies and Emerson Royal, the furthest forward players, not just by a little bit, by a lot, our attacking trio, miles behind them, miles. I'm not even sure they were all in the opposition half when that goal went in. So it's fantastic. I'm sure Conte was sitting at home in Italy, communicating with Stellini, watching that unfold, incredibly proud that the wing-backs have done it. And not only wing-backs, it's, you know, Emerson Royal, who is traditionally a right-back or full-back, if you will, not a wing-back. Attacking part of his game has been his weakest. And Ben Davies, who has been deployed primarily this season and last season in Conte's system as a left-sided centre-back, pushed out to left wing-back. And let's face it, when the lineup came out, there was a few of us, and by a few of us, I actually mean the majority, that would have been like, ooh, Ben Davies at left wing-back, is that a good choice? Now, he's been a left-back throughout a lot of his career. Internationally, we know he's been a left-sided centre-back for Wales, and I still say that that's his best position. He actually did an interview himself, and he was saying that it's the first time he's actually started in that position. He doesn't play that position for Wales. For Spurs, he's always been a left-back that pushes up a bit and gets involved in the attack, but never a left wing-back. It's a much more demanding role. You have to be very fit, very physical. The one thing I'll say that Ben Davies has always done okay for us is crossing from deep, but getting by his men, making those runs into good space to break us into an attack has not been his strong point. This game, however, very different. He kind of, I think he shocked everyone. Emerson Royal obviously was excellent throughout the game. Man of the match once again, which I think overshadowed Ben Davies' performance. And Ben Davies is a player that gets a lot of slack from Spurs fans. He's very close to his 300th appearance for Spurs now, and people will be wondering, how has he made that many appearances for Spurs? People think he's just a guy that, you know, he shouldn't really be there anymore. He kind of gets put in the mould with Eric Dyer, where people like, these players should not be at our club anymore, we're not moving forward. But there's a reason why every single Spurs manager has stuck by the likes of Eric Dyer and Ben Davies. Ben Davies is an intelligent guy. He's a hard worker. He's reliable. He's always going to give you a minimum of a 7 out of 10 performance. He works very hard. He's not afraid of a tackle. He makes a lot of blocks. He's not the worst passer in the world either. He takes risks with his passing from time to time, which leaves us caught out every now and again, but that's just them trying to be adventurous. They're having to play out from the back more and more. So I expect those mistakes from Ben Davies, but I have to say, I was really happy with the way he did it. Obviously, he's doing a favour for us there. It's not his natural position at all. Perisic, 34 years old, can't play every single game, and I think he deputised really really well. So look, and until Sessegnon's back, it's a viable option. Is it the perfect option? No. But from what we've seen from Sessegnon this season, which has been very up and down, he's had his good games, he's had his bad games, he's had his mediocre games, but so has Perisic. By and large, in an attacking sense, Perisic has been very good. His delivery, we know, is absolutely ace. But the defensive side of the game, because it's a lot of getting up and down and it's hard as you get older, he struggled a bit, whereas Ben Davies has been defending all season. So that side of his game was always going to be great. But I tell you what, that first goal for Spurs, we'll talk about Ben Davies and Royal first, because the best part of the goal actually came before. But that run from Ben Davies was very, very intelligent. Then the touch inside to look up and play a lovely weighted pass for the oncoming Emerson Royal, who slotted it home with such coolness. I mean, I was sitting watching the game with my girlfriend's dad. We went round to watch it. I had to watch the first half on my phone because we'd been out. My daughter had a dance show, so we'd watched that. And then afterwards I was watching the first half on my phone. Then the second half I managed to watch in the comfort of the chair round my girlfriend's dad's with a beer. And Emerson Royal's goal, we both, like, massive cheer. And the Spurs fans just got right behind him. The celebration for the goal was hilarious. The players came flooding over. You had Richarlison grabbed him so tightly by like the collar of his shirt. And then Emerson Royal grabs him by the throat. It was a really weird celebration, so over the top. And then Christian Romero comes running over, tries to like lean round Richarlison to boot Emerson Royal up the bum, which is hilarious, to the point where Royal didn't really realise this at the time because all the players are jumping on him, and then sent a tweet out saying like, "Cootie, I'm going to kill you." It's just weird, isn't it? Alistair Gold was actually talking about it on his channel yesterday in his podcast with Rob Guest, talking about the fact that Romero has this thing and he's kind of like the elder brother that, to say that he loves you, he punches you on the arm, give you a dead arm and whatnot. And he's very much like that. But it was just a very weird celebration. Everything about it was so violent, apart from the beginning of the celebration with, the ball under and the sucking the thumb for the baby. The players just went mental. And Emerson Royal, although he's not great in an attacking sense, like he doesn't always know what to do with the ball. The finish was very calm. It was first time. It was stroked beautifully into the corner. Fabianski just was rooted kind of to the spot, didn't know what to do. Emerson Royal's attacking movement, however, sensational. He makes these great overlapping runs. He tends to, when he's with Kulusevski, he allows Kulusevski to have the space and the freedom to move around him, and he tends to take up more sensible positions sort of inside as an outlet to play 1-2s with him. But his movement when Kulusevski's not around, or whichever winger's there, is great. He's in the right space a lot of the time. He just doesn't really know what to do with it because attacking's not his forte. However, he's getting better, clearly. So if Kane gets injured, we may have a new striker on our hands. But I'm joking. Jokes aside there, he's obviously not. But Porro's come in, 40 million player. I kind of feel sorry for him because he had a nightmare of a debut in a game. It wasn't necessarily his fault. It's against a Leicester that are fighting at the moment. And he was thrown into the deep end next to the... We're going to have to say inexperienced Tanganga now through the lack of game time and the injuries he's had. Probably wasn't the best game to come into. Had a torrid time, and then Royal's come in and just bang. I mean, Royal never should have been dropped for the Leicester game, in my opinion, anyway, for experience. But defensively, I've always said Royal has been good. And now he's showing us what he can do in an attacking sense. And after that goal, there was little backheel flicks and little outside of the boot flicks round the corner. He looked like a Brazilian player. Royal is very much a defensive-sided Brazilian, breaking the mould in that sense. But things were coming out. He's very confident, and the fans were loving it. They were getting right behind him. There was a great slide tackle on Ben Rama. Everyone was cheering in his name, singing he scores when he wants. Emerson Royal, he scores when he wants. It was great. And he must have felt so loved in that moment. And he gave us a performance for the rest of the game to be proud of. He's been one of our better players in the last month, I would say. He's had 2 man of the matches. He was sensational against City. But let's talk about that pass from Pierre-Emile Hojbjerg. Now, the guy doesn't get enough credit. And I was actually talking to Alistair Gold about this. So I was out shopping at the weekend? Yeah, I was out shopping at the weekend, and I was standing outside Primark. And then out comes this gentleman looking a bit like confused. And it was Alistair Gold. I recognised him straight away. Turns out his wife and daughter were in Primark and he temporarily lost them, couldn't find them. So we were just standing outside having a nice conversation for about 20 minutes about Spurs and previous managers, Jose Mourinho, talking about Sonny's form this season, what we expect at the end of the season, whether we think Conte's going to stay or go. I mean, I'm a fan of Alistair Gold's Football.London. His writing, he comes out very good. He obviously gets to interview the managers in the press conferences for Football.London. And his YouTube channel was kind of the thing that inspired me to get into it. Obviously, he doesn't get to do them as often as I do, which means his videos end up lasting quite a long time. And he apologises sometimes when he breaks the hour mark. But look, it was a lovely chat. I'm grateful that he took the time to speak to me. I'm not going to talk about what his views were because that'd be disrespectful to his channel. So, but look, it was a great chat. There was a lot that we agreed on. And yeah, he's genuinely a really, really nice guy. So thank you, Alistair Gold, for that chat. And yeah. So anyway, sidetracked. Let's talk about the game. Yes, Pierre-Emile Hojbjerg, we were both talking about him and about how underrated he is because he does the dirty work, but obviously he'd been at Bayern Munich. He is a technical player, but because he's having to do all the chasing around and the tough tackling, he's quite often made to sit back, but he has these passes in his locker. He does them every now and again. This one was an incredible pass. It took so many players out of the game, weighted beautifully. And actually, it was the second time in not too long that he's made a pass. The last pass that he made that was a decent one was the one for Harry Kane that he scored for the record-breaking goal. Interestingly, his two best passes have come as he's had to slip at the end to make the pass. But he's got the vision. He made the right decision. Not just defence splitting, midfield splitting, defence splitting. Great ball. That set the move off. Two defenders, two wing-backs. Exactly what Conte would want. Fantastic. The crowd absolutely loving it. I think, you know, Kevin De Bruyne, anyone like that makes that pass. Everyone goes mad over it. Hojbjerg didn't really get too much credit. They spoke a bit about it on Match of the Day 2, which was quite nice, talking about how many players it took out the game. But, you know, it's not one that you're going to see everybody talking about online on Facebook and like reels and stuff. So, you know, he kind of goes under the radar. I'm a massive, massive Hojbjerg fan. He does the things people don't want to do. But then the second goal, finally a link up between Son and Kane. We've been waiting for them two to be back on it. And it was really just Harry Kane doing what he does best. Ogbonna gets too close to him. He's more worried about him than the ball. Misjudges his header. Harry Kane kind of spins him. And then on the bounce, slots it through to Sonny. Lovely ball. And then Sonny, what a first touch. Outside of the boot, takes it right into his stride. Cool, calm finish. Really happy for him. Comes off the bench to do it. He was dropped for the game, which I thought was going to be the case. Stellini had kind of gave us the impression that was going to happen in the press conference leading into the game. And look, sometimes they just need a rest. And he's alluded to the fact after the game that Sonny's fitness levels are part of the problem this season. It's not that he's lost confidence or anything. He alluded that when players come back from the World Cup, sometimes they don't come back quite in full fitness. So maybe that was the case, but they felt because he's such a big player, they have to stick by him. Richarlison got a bit of stick for his performance from the fans, and I will say this. He does not play very often, and when he does, he comes on towards the end of the games, and people have just been so critical. If anything, the person to blame is Conte, because he's got this squad of players. He's got Danjuma now, he's got Richarlison, Lucas Moura is now back fit, Kulusevski, Kane. There's a lot of attacking players that can play out wide. He had Brian Hill as well before the end of the window. Not rotating enough at all. So Sonny ends up getting burnt out. He's not 100% fit. Richarlison's back to full fitness, but even before that, he was getting minutes here and there. Now, I don't know how many times I have to say this to people, because fans are always so fickle when players come in and don't make a difference. When you're not playing regularly and only getting like 20 minutes, 10 minutes here and there, there's a difference between being fit and being match sharp. The only way you're going to perform is by regular minutes. Harry Winks, for example, he's gone out on loan to Sampdoria, been injured for a lot of the season. He's now played, I think, as his 5th game in a row where he's played 90 minutes, and they're starting to see the best of him. And he was saying himself he had to leave Spurs to go get regular playing time so he could get back to his best self. Playing the odd minute here and there or not getting on at all, it didn't help him because he could never get a comfortable run and feel confident in himself. And that's what we're seeing with Richarlison. So I beg all you fans out there, don't get on his back and don't judge his performances based on the small amount of time we get to see. Wait till he gets a run of games in, gets decent game time. We'll see a very different player, I promise you. The player that we saw at Everton, the player we saw at Watford, he was playing regularly. There's a reason why Ancelotti at Real Madrid has been linked with taking him in the summer. He's not a bad player. It's just Sonny gets so much game time, it's unbelievable. But look, we have the time off until the Chelsea game, a week between the games, so I expect Royal will play again. Sonny will probably come back into the starting lineup because he's got time to recover. But then we've got games constantly. We've got like 6 games in 14 days or whatever. And there's pretty much like 3 games a week coming up on the regular. So expect to see some rotation. Danjuma didn't even make it on the pitch in this game. All the players are going to be used. Lucas Moura finally came back in. He got a massive, massive cheer from the Spurs fans when he came on. It's really good to see him back. If this is going to be, you know, the running of the last times that we see him in a Spurs shirt, you know, I wish him all the best. I want to see him come on as an impact sub in some games, run at people, tire people out. Who else can we talk about from the game? Forster did okay, if I'm honest. He wasn't really asked of much to do. There was the moment straight after we scored, West Ham went straight down the other end, and Romero lost his man. Sprinted to catch up with him, did enough to kind of put him off. Forster got down reasonably well, but didn't have too much else to do. I thought we were quite good at dealing with Bowen and why has his name gone out of my head? Well, anyway, I thought we did well with dealing with their attackers. Romero was better. Now, the only annoyance about Romero is his ability to pick up cards. He's picked up so many. I think there's only been like 1 game since October where he hasn't picked up a card in the Premier League. Like, it's absolutely mental. He's so aggressive, but he behaved himself so much better in this game. Dyer did his job, exactly what we needed him to do. Longley was okay, a bit shaky to start with. I've seen reports actually come out saying that we are willing to talk to Barcelona about trying to get him permanently in the summer. So there was no clause in the contract about an obligation or an option to buy. But apparently they've seen enough of him to want him. Now, I don't think we've seen enough of him to want him. I don't think he's been good enough. I actually think Ben Davies is the better option. But maybe it's based on who they think is going to be available. I don't know. So maybe as a rotation with Ben Davies, he's a good option, but I'm not too sure. Let me know in the comments below what you think. I mean, I'm not fussed at all whether we keep him or not. Yeah, so Ben Davies I thought did very well. Yeah, Romero was better. Obviously, Emerson Royal, man of the match. Moving into the midfield, Hojbjerg, I thought had a very good game. Oliver Skipp. Now, I think a lot of people thought that Sarr was going to start, but I got the impression that Skipp was going to be the man to get the nod. Just for, he's had a bit more experience in the Premier League. He knows what the derbies are about. And I thought he was excellent. You know, you give him a couple more games, he will be rotated with Sarr, I think, throughout the time that Bentancur is out injured, because the games are coming thick and fast. But you give Skippy a run of games and you'll see a great player. We saw what happened when he was on loan at Norwich. Got a full season under his belt, made it into the championship team of the season. Norwich got promoted. Before he got injured, we saw him really starting to progress into a Premier League squad. And look, he's going to be a captain for the future. There's no doubt about it. He's a great player. A lot of people moan and say that he's a sideways passer like Winks was, but he's not. He does try and break the lines. He does try and make things happen. Really happy with him. He makes these great sliding tackles where you think the man's beaten him, and then he slides round and he like hooks his leg round and manages to get the ball. So quite often when players go past Skippy, I've got that thing in the back of my mind going, he's still going to get the ball. And quite often he does. I thought it was a very mature performance from him. So really, really happy with that. Kulusevski was carrying on in the same form that he has been recently in the first half. Wasn't great, wasn't very inspired. Second half, he really came to life. Really happy with that. Kane, he was okay. He was working hard. He was doing what he needed to do in the game. Obviously set up Sonny for the goal. Had a chance himself, but flashed it wide. Very uncharacteristic of him. Just like dragged it right across goal. And yeah, Richarlison, he just works hard. Works very hard, and it hasn't clicked for him yet, but it will eventually, I promise you. So yeah, all in all, you know, first half wasn't great, and I did think to myself, West Ham are not the team at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium that I would like to see us start slowly against, because they've always got a chance of coming back into the game. It's happened before. Seeing Lanzini on the benches is always something that worries us because of what happened before, but he's not the same player. I've got some West Ham fans at work, and we were talking, and he was saying like Lanzini's just not been the same player at all this season. They've got their problems. What they're going to do with Moyes, I don't know, because you sack Moyes, probably the best person to get you out of this situation is Moyes. So I don't know what West Ham are going to do. But look, we got the job done. We did what we needed to do. It wasn't necessarily pretty in the first half, but we showed once again what we can do in the second half. Stellini was asked after the game about players' performances and stuff. Very much complimentary of the wing-backs, especially Emerson Royal. Had a good bit to say about Sonny, talking about it was the fitness that was probably affecting him. He wouldn't take any credit for the victories. He's very much sticking to his guns that, look, we've got a blueprint that's set out by Antonio Conte. He was also saying that, you know, he's not going to go out and manage on his own. These are all questions they were trying to put his way. But he was saying very much he follows what Conte tells him to. And he even on the sideline kind of asks Conte if he's allowed to make certain substitutions. But look, whatever it is that's working, it's working. So Ryan Mason, very much a key part of that coaching team. And then Ben Davies was talking after the game in an interview, and he was saying about the fact that there was a few home truths spoken. You know, the more senior players have had to step up whilst Conte's away. And this isn't the first time. So we saw it. We had the game against Man City where we played really, really well. And then we went to lose the game after that against Leicester, and they had like a meeting, sat down, spoke to each other, had the home truths come out. And not like an argument or bitching, because a lot of the times, I suppose players have a habit of blaming one another. The way Ben Davies was putting it across is that they were taking responsibility, saying that they needed to be the ones to change it. They were the problem. This is not good enough from them. And the two times they've done it this season, it's worked, and we've had great results afterwards. So maybe they should be having these meetings every single week amongst the players and the coaching staff where they just air stuff out. Because clearly when they're bonding as a team and talking to one another, communicating like they should, they get the best out of it. So maybe that is it. That is the only solution. You know, it can't be the fitness levels, because Conte, you know, works them hard. We saw that from pre-season, you know, top athletes vomiting at the side of the pitch. We always finish the game stronger, so that shows you that the fitness levels really kick in. The players have the ability. You know, we've got one of the best strikers in the world. Sonny was a Golden Boot winner last season. Perisic is a proven winner in his career. Ben Davies reliable. Eric Dyer reliable. You know, at times. You know, Eric Dyer a leader. Hojbjerg, one of the toughest battlers that I've ever seen grace a football pitch. Bentancur, silky. Kulusevski on his day, really strong, really creative, great on both feet. Emerson Royal, solid defensively. Romero, tough battling tackler that just needs to get the yellow cards out the way. You know, we've got the makings of what could be a very good team. There's just something that's not clicking all the time. But look, I'm really happy with the game overall. The next one's going to be a big one against Chelsea. Obviously, Graham Potter is finding it difficult to adjust to life at Chelsea. Lots of big signings made in January. Obviously, it's going to take them time to settle in. Chelsea are another team that we have a torrid time against. So I don't know what's going to happen in that one. We just got to keep positive and hope that, the victory against City and then the slump afterwards, coming back with another victory. Let's just hope the players stick together. Without Conte there, the senior players step up, get things going, because this victory can really help kick our season on. Liverpool, obviously they're 2 games in hand, 7 points behind us in 4th place. So look, they can quickly jump up if they win both those games. I think a lot of Liverpool fans have conceded the fact that winning the Champions League would be their best chance of qualifying for the Champions League next season. But look, there's still a lot to play for. That gap is so tight. Anything could happen towards the end of this season. If Liverpool get it right, they could very, very quickly turn things around. And I think the thing that they've now started to do, like their midfield has been their weak point this season. I think they've tried to go too attacking, and now they've just realised that Fabinho and Henderson sitting in front of the back four, solidifying things and just letting the attack do what they do best, is working for them now. And I think that's the way they've set up tonight for the Champions League game. So look, expect them to concede less goals now with the protection in front, and then they're probably still going to score goals. Look, Nunez is starting to find his feet. So they're the team that I would really watch out for. I think the first 3 are kind of settled in whatever order of Arsenal, Manchester City and Manchester United. So it is that battle for 4th between us, Newcastle, Liverpool, Brighton maybe if they can keep this going. Fulham are an outside shot. I mean, I don't think they'll do it, but let's see. So yeah, that's it. Victory against West Ham, 2-0. Mad season. But thanks for sticking around. I hope you enjoyed that one. I have been Kieran from Speaking Spurs. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and leave your comments below. And until next time, come on you Spurs.